Hey guys, good afternoon. So today is Wednesday, and today's my midday video, and I've been quiet today. Once again, I've hit a patch of the country where my T-Mobile service has not been the strongest. So we're doing okay today. I've got a place lined up. I'll be sleeping outside, but it's by choice, guys. It's actually at a campsite. The folks that are hosting me today, Joe and Tracy, have a campsite and offered me to get me into town in Lebanon, Missouri. But I kind of like the idea of being by the campsite and sleeping outdoors. They don't have enough room in their camper, which is fine. But anyway, the good news is I'm fascinating people. Another fascinating story. The walk that I did was quite, again, more like nothing but highway, and again, I keep coming back to it and be a little bit concerned about that going forward. I think that I've finalized the plans, at least for the towns, and I'm going to try to get into Springfield tomorrow late afternoon and evening, and hopefully spend Thursday and Friday in Springfield. That'll give me an opportunity to bypass one day of a small town and get into some population, and then will also allow me, I'm trying to put together plans to get from Springfield out to Joplin. And those of you know, Joplin has been a big focal point of my trip. I just want to be able to be part of that community and talk to some of the folks that have been through so much, and see if I can get some folks to share some of their trials and tribulations and successes and victories. It's funny, every time when I meet people and talk to people, I look for that one, person, that one story, those couple of things that just remind me of why I'm doing it. And Joe just talked to me a little while ago. He stepped away for a moment, but he said something that I thought was so appropriate. Joe likes to restore old vehicles, and there's two things. This campsite that I'm into, those of you that know anything about me in my past, for a short period of my life, and one of the happiest periods of my life, I lived in a resort up in Hazleton, PA, called Eagle Rock Resort, which is why my initial and long-time email address is Eagle Rock Gym. But when I would get through the gates at Eagle Rock, I couldn't explain it. This certain calm and peace would come over me, and I just felt like I was where I was meant to be. And it was a beautiful resort with 2 lakes and ski slopes and golf course, and I fed deer off my deck, and it was my heaven on earth. It really was. And I had to give that up eventually to get down with the kids and be with my family, or be with the young lady who I have a family with. But anyway, in talking with Joe, that's what this Bennett Springs State Park is for him. He comes camping here several times a year, and funny, Tracy comes down for a day and then heads back home to take care of the dogs and comes back, and it's close enough that they can make it in a day trip, but they both like to just come sit by the river, do some trout fishing, and it's like they're heaven on earth. And I can understand exactly why, because when I made it through and I came through in the vehicle with Tracy, you just felt this calm come over you, and it was so peaceful, and it just brought me back to those days with some nostalgia in my mind of just a really beautiful time in my life, and short of my kids, maybe the time I was the most happiest. So that was part of it. And then Joe restores old vehicles, and we were talking about the heading to Pigeon Forge for a car show, and they were telling us how a few years ago somebody came through town and was walking across the country, and they spoke to this older gentleman, and while he might have been a little bit eccentric, the stories they were talking about, and I guess Tracy was sharing a story with me how years ago they went to a car show down in Tennessee, and it kind of goes back to what we're talking about how I've always said we're kind of friends to her, and we're heroes to that little circle of 10 people. And we're talking about how we can get caught in ruts and routines, and they were saying how even at the car shows, sometimes they get so wrapped up with their familiar group of friends that they see that they forget to extend themselves and open themselves up to meeting other people. And I guess in this one show they went to, The very first when I went down in Tennessee, they kind of felt snubbed. Everybody had their little clique, and nobody really welcomed them. And it kind of opened their eyes to say, hey, have we been those people? You know, we didn't like the way it felt to us, and you know, so we make it a point to try to